Here we have the latest news out of the Philippines as of November 26, 2021. Philippines loosens borders as coronavirus cases continue to drop. The article goes on to say Manila, Philippines. Foreigners who do not need a visa to enter the Philippines may come to the country again, as it now allows them to make a visit without quarantining, providing they are fully vaccinated, come from a green list country, and present a negative RT-PCR test taken 72 hours before departure. Now, just in that one paragraph, there's a little bit to unpack here. So we'll go through it one step at a time. The first thing is foreigners who do not need a visa to enter the Philippines may come to the country again. So, who does not need a visa to come to the Philippines? That would be the first question which we'll look at. So here we find the guidelines on the entry of temporary visitors to the Philippines. Nationals from countries listed below who are traveling to the Philippines for business and tourism purposes are allowed to enter the Philippines without visas for a stay not exceeding 30 days. Now, we have an extensive list here. I'm not going to read all the countries out to you, but you can see for yourself. All these countries, you do not require a visa to go into the Philippines unless you're planning to stay for longer than 30 days. And it's not a good idea to overstay your visa, otherwise you're going to have some problems when you finally decide that you want to leave. So as you can see, it is a long, long list. So there's plenty of countries who can get that 30-day free visa period. And as we can see here, it also says that those countries who are eligible under the visa-free entry can come into the country without quarantining, so no quarantine, provided they are fully vaccinated and come from a green list country. Now, we know that the green list countries have been a little bit of a bugbear for many of us who live in countries like Australia, US, UK, Canada, and so on, who really feel that they should be on that green list. And for those of you who are not up to date with which countries are on that green list, then I'll quickly show you. And here we have the green list countries, jurisdictions and territories, which was for the period of the 16th to the 30th of November. So remember, guys, they will be reviewing this again on the 30th of November. So if you're not on this list, just hold tight and see what happens on that date. But they are the countries that are currently on the Philippines green list. For example, if you're a US citizen who's been, say, working in Japan or holidaying in Japan for the past 14 days or longer, then you may also be eligible to go into the Philippines on a tourist visa. And the last bit of this first paragraph, it says that you'll also need to present a negative RT-PCR test taken 72 hours before departure. The article goes on to say that this new policy adopted by the government's pandemic task force will be in effect from December 1 up until December 15 and will affect nationals of 159 countries and territories who are not required to obtain a visa to come to the Philippines. So at this point, they've only got this for a 2-week period, from the 1st to the 15th of December. Now, like everything in the Philippines to do with reopening and so on, they do seem to take it very cautiously and slowly and put everything into little blocks. Now, this could very well be extended. They might be looking to see how it goes for 2 weeks and then they'll extend it. Foreigners who fall under this category must have stayed exclusively for 14 days in areas placed by the Philippines under its green list for them to be allowed entry. That's what I was just explaining a moment ago. Foreigners who just transited through non-green list areas will not be deemed as coming from those places as long as they've stayed at the airport the whole time and were cleared for entry. Of those people who are vaccinated but failed to get tested for COVID-19 before travelling will have to quarantine in a facility until the release of a negative RT-PCR test taken on the 5th day of their quarantine. Now, this here is very important information no matter which country you're travelling to, that you must hold passports which are valid for at least 6 months at the time of arrival and a return ticket to the country of origin or next country of destination. And if you're looking for the throwaway tickets, then I have a link in my pinned comment and description for a very good service at a very reasonable price for the throwaway tickets. They must also present either World Health Organization international certificates of vaccination and prophylaxis, a digital vaccination certificate generated through VaxCert-PH, or a national or state digital certificate of the foreign government which has accepted VaxCert-PH under reciprocal arrangements. Testing and quarantine protocols of minors will follow the protocols set for their parents or guardians travelling with them. The Philippines' decision to loosen borders comes at a time when pushing for a reopening of its badly hit tourism sector to international travellers as COVID-19 cases continue to decline after a devastating Delta-driven surge that started in August. So, guys, at this stage, I know for many of you who are in yellow countries, this is not the greatest news, but it is showing a big step forward, and they'll review the green list countries again in just a few days' time on the 30th of this month. So possibly, fingers crossed, there might be a few changes. Then for you guys who are really super keen to go and see your Filipina in the Philippines, you'll have that window initially of that 2 weeks to get over there and see her if you wish. Now, would I go booking aeroplane tickets and everything right now? Probably not. Even if I had a girlfriend waiting over there, it's still all very new, and the Philippines are still testing out things and trying different things and being very cautious about how they proceed at this point in time. Things can change very quickly around this in the Philippines. One day they're saying we're going to do this, the next they could change it, and so on. But the good thing is there does seem to be some sort of urgency going on the last month or so within the Philippines about getting borders reopened. They do seem to understand that the country is in a bit of trouble, and every little bit of international tourism money is going to help. But as I say, this is awesome news for those of you who are in the green list countries, who are vaccinated, and who normally have a 30-day visa-free quarantine period. Whilst it's not the news that everyone wants to hear, some it is fantastic news, and the others, we still remain very hopeful that your country will be on that green list very, very soon. And as soon as we get even more positive news, I'll be certain to post a video on it on this channel. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.